Well, hello there. I'm Dennis Prager. This is my home. This is my fireplace. This is my fireside chat. But no more cigar because Facebook didn't even allow us to promote any of the fireside chats if I'm smoking a cigar. It's such a different world. I'm going to keep saying this. It is so different, America, from when I grew up. It is so much less free. From the land of the free and the home of the brave to the better safe than sorry new motto of America. You're corrupting the youth if you smoke a cigar. I could think of a lot of other things that corrupt the youth, like teaching them that there's no difference between male and female, and they get to choose their gender when they get older. That's a little more corrupting and depressing than a cigar. But anyway, that's the way it is. Hi, everybody. Great to be with you. I just flew in. No rest for the wicked. I used to say no rest for the weary, but it's for the wicked. But I'm not wicked, and I still get no rest. So what are you going to do? Well, this was some dramatic day in American history. I don't get to say that very often, but it was. The hearing with Judge Brett Kavanaugh and his accuser. And if you haven't had a chance to see, there are 5 minutes I'd like you to see. Just 5 minutes. Excuse me. 5 minutes from the proceedings. It was pretty much all day long. First, the accuser, Dr. Ford, spoke, and then Judge Kavanaugh in the afternoon. And I'd like you to watch Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who is not a firebrand, who has been a Republican, who actually was best friends with John McCain. So he's not in the Trump camp, but he's a deep man. I've always felt he was a deep man, whether I agreed with him or not. And today, my suspicion proved itself to be accurate. He said it was truly a dark day. It was the worst day in American politics in his lifetime. I'm virtually correctly, word for word, but it's not exactly the words, but that's the essence of what he said. That's a big deal, and it is. The decline in American life is so dramatic and steep, it's depressing, and I don't want to depress you, especially you who are young. You have a whole lifetime to look forward to as Americans. If you're American, many people watch across the world, but as America goes, I think a lot of places will go, I'm afraid to say. So he had never quite seen this. The smearing of this man's reputation, I'm not saying she's lying. How do I know? I don't know if she's lying. I don't know if he's lying for all intents and purposes. So what do you do if you have two people saying the opposite thing? You simply look at evidence. That's all you do. That's all we have. That's all we humans can have, right? Common sense and evidence. Is there anything to substantiate her claim? No. Now, do I believe that she believes what she said? It's hard for me to believe that somebody could act so pathologically, and that's what it would have to be. I just don't. I admit it. I think it's mistaken identity, or she has created something in her mind. I don't believe she's sitting there thinking, oh man, I know this never happened, but I'm going to fool everybody. I don't think that. All right? So that puts that to rest. Do I believe he did it? There isn't a fiber in me that believes that he did what he's accused of doing. Because human beings don't work in a way that is against everything that they have lived as, but one time. It just doesn't work like that, especially in the sexual arena. People who do things do it to multiple people. The other charges I'm not going to even mention, because even the New York Times said there was not a single human being to substantiate any of them. And now a true lowlife, the lawyer for the who's the porn actress again? Stormy Daniels. Her lawyer was it says he was part of a gang rape train. Whew. What's next? Did he gas Jews during World War II? I mean, it seems like there's no limit to what can be thrown at the poor man. And I say poor man because to have your name ruined after you've led such a good life, it's not easy to lead a good life. It takes a lot of work to lead a good and honorable life. 36 years later to say something you did in high school? Whew. And we're supposed to believe this is the defining character issue of the man? I have long believed we all have moral bank accounts. I have believed this for decades. I have written about it. I have broadcast about it, lectured about it. Every one of us has a moral bank account. Our good deeds are deposits, our bad deeds are withdrawals, and we're either in the black or the red, we're in debit or in profit mode, or we're in the middle. They're all right, everybody's a complex bank account, but some people are really in the black, and the black means on the good side of the ledger. And he is one of these people. I mean, everybody, including every woman who's ever worked with him, every woman who ever dated him in high school has come out to his defense. Democrats, Republicans. But it doesn't matter. One woman says one thing, and then we're told, and this is really important that I address, believe women. There are even t-shirts, I believe women. What a stupid, immoral motto. It's both stupid and immoral. What if somebody had I believe men? It's just as stupid and immoral. How's this? I believe evidence. Oh, that's a radical departure from our friends on the left, who have divided the world not between true and false, good and bad, but between male and female, and rich and poor, and black and white. They have literally, the left has demoralized our way of thinking and speaking. They have removed the moral component. That's not right and wrong, bad and good. No. It's rich and poor. It's West and non-West. It's white and non-white. It's literally demoralized the vocabulary. Believe women. Women don't lie? That's remarkable. By the way, I wish that were true. It would be awesome. One of the two sexes never lied. What a great world it would be. Then we would know. Women wouldn't even have to take an oath when they testified. It would be awesome. I wish it were true women never lie. Doesn't work that way. Women lie as much as men lie. Okay? Because neither sex has a monopoly on being disgusting. There are disgusting women, disgusting men, and beautiful women. That's the way it is. I'm not a man fan and I'm not a woman fan. I'm a good person fan. How's that? That's what we should all be. You don't root for a gender. You don't root for a race. You don't root for a class. You root for goodness, for truth, for excellence, for kindness, for decency, for integrity. How's that? I believe women. Read about all the women who have lied, from the Duke University lacrosse team to Tawana Brawley. I mean, the list, you could look it up. I mean, the list is pretty big. And a lot of women have told the truth and have been horribly treated. And horrible treatment is horrible. There's no question about it. That's a given. But it really is a given. I feel silly even having to say that an attempted rape is horrible. Okay, that's what we have lived through. I wrote a piece, and I'd like you to see it. Everything is available out there on the internet. I believe, although I wrote this so long ago that it was pre-internet, I believe. So I'm not sure it's on the internet. I have to look it up. This is the title of the piece I wrote many years ago. The rape of a name is also a rape. Sometimes the rape of a name is even more destructive than the rape of a body, and the rape of a body is certainly bad. And sometimes the rape of a body is much more destructive than the rape of a name. I understand that. But the rape of a name, you know what I wonder about all these people who were cheering on dirtying this man's name? Do they have husbands? Do they have fathers? Do they have brothers? Do they have sons? It's hard for me to understand how people could want to smear a man's name and reputation of 36 years with an alleged high school event that has no witnesses. If they have a good father or a good brother or a good husband or a good son. I don't get it. Maybe they don't. Maybe these people don't know a good man and therefore can't relate to the destruction of a good man's name. Otherwise, I don't get it. How could you so easily root on the destruction of a man's reputation that is utterly undeserved? We earn credits in life. That's how you. That's in a he said, she said. You one of the things you look at is patterns. Does he have a pattern of being like this? He truly is almost a choir boy. The guy was a virgin in high school. The guy was a virgin, as a religious Catholic through his early 20s. And he was running a rape factory. So this was not a proud day in American history. Just because a woman makes a charge doesn't mean that you slow down the mechanics of a Supreme Court justice or anybody else. Anybody could make any charge. As you well know, anybody can. He had 6 FBI checks. And by the way, they said, let's have an FBI investigation on this. What are they going to come up with? The press, which is more effective than the FBI in finding witnesses, found nobody. The New York Times to its credit, it wouldn't even acknowledge the veracity of the other accusations made against Judge Kavanaugh, saying they could find no one, not one witness to substantiate it. And there's one of the women who made the charge, the second of there were 3 charges now, the second charge, admitted, look, my memory is faulty, but after 7 days with Democratic Party lawyers, she decided to come forward. But there's still nobody to corroborate any of it. So it was not a good day. My heart broke for the guy. But I've known my whole life, unlike Kavanaugh and a lot of Republicans, I know how mean the left is. Just mean, plain mean. Not liberals. Liberals are naive. Leftists are mean. Do conservatives ever go into a restaurant and start screaming at Democrats? Like leftists go into restaurants and scream at the Republicans? Do conservatives ever close down bridges for their causes? Never. There's no moral balance here, right and left. The left is uglier. There are ugly people on the right. There's no question about it. But as a movement, it's much easier to believe, oh, the middle is where all of truth and goodness lies, but it's not really true. The left is a threat. I have made this case. Whatever the left touches, it ruins. Economies, religions, children, music, art, literature, Boy Scouts. There are forces of chaos and disorder, and there are forces of order. And the left represents the force of chaos. It is unbelievably easier to bring down than to build. Barack Obama said it right before he was elected in 2008. He announced to a big cheering audience, "We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America." That's a scary proposition, fundamentally transforming the United States of America. It's a pretty good place. But a place of 320 million people is going to have, if 10% of the people aren't good, that's 30 million bad folks. There are bad people in America. But it's fundamentally a good place for everybody, every color, every gender. Anyway, that's another subject for another time. It was not a proud day. He didn't know what hit him, the judge. That was clear. He thinks the difference between right and left is just the difference in, well, they have belief in certain policies and we have belief in certain policies. He doesn't understand the moral divide. That they are willing to destroy him for political victory is what he did not know that before this happened. I knew it. I've been studying the left my whole life. He didn't realize the extent to which they would engage in such a practice. New York Times did it to me. I mean, not nearly on this level. They wrote a piece on me last year, and I wrote an article showing how they completely made up a quote. They made it up. That's why they didn't put it in quotes. They said Prager suggested. What does that mean, suggested? You either say or you don't say. You don't suggest. When was the last time you suggested? I mean, I don't mean suggest where to go for dinner. I mean, people say things. They don't suggest things. It was a dishonesty through the beginning because they knew I never said it. So they made up something and then said, I suggested, and didn't put it in quotes. My Wikipedia page has been taken over by folks on the left. There are just blatant distortions in there. And there's nothing I could do with my own Wikipedia page. I used to send Wikipedia money. Well, you do what you can do. But it's a real battle. As I said, for many years now, America's in a civil war. Thank God it's relatively nonviolent, and I pray it stays that way. But it's a problem. Okay. That's my reflections on the day. And now, to your questions. All right. Okay, Michelle, 43, Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Dennis, I have listened to most of your fireside chats, and I am curious, have you read the New Testament? If so, what did you think of it? Well, that's a pretty big question. Yes, I have read the New Testament, not nearly as much as the Old Testament. So let me explain why. I am a religious believing Jew, and for Jews, divine revelation ends at the end of the Old Testament, just as it ends for Christians at the end of the New Testament. And it ends for Muslims at the end of the Quran, and it ends for Mormons at the end of the Book of Mormon. So every religion has a cutoff point after which there is no more direct divine revelation that is canonized, that is put into biblical form. So for Jews, it ends with the Old Testament. And that's what it is. So what do I think of it? Well, one day, maybe, because, you see, this is a better answer. This is maybe more accurate. I believe, as a Jew, believe it or not, Christians have done a lot of God's work. I I am well aware of terrible things Christians have done. I've written a book on anti-Semitism, and there's a serious chapter on Christian anti-Semitism, tragically. Having said that, and aware of that, nevertheless, it is Christians and Christianity that brought much of the world to the Hebrew Bible and to the God of the Hebrew Bible. Christians did that even more than Jews have. So I believe that Christians have a divine mission if they do it right. I mean, but it's true for Jews. I think Jews have a divine mission. I believe in chosen people, but you got to do it right. So that's my best answer. There are sublime elements to the New Testament, and there are also elements that I don't look. The biggest disagreement I have, if I agreed with everything, I would be a Christian, obviously. But the biggest disagreement I have is the road to salvation. And I think my difference is more with Paul than with Jesus. But Christians could understandably differ with me on that. In that I do believe that we are saved through works. And a very critical aspect of the message of the New Testament is that you cannot be saved through your good works, but only through faith. So, but in the final analysis, I don't judge religions by their theology. I judge their religions by their fruit. And my favorite fruit is the United States of America, and that's the product of Christians, not all of whom were traditional Christians, but all of whom were in some way Christian. And by the way, who loved the Hebrew Bible in particular, which is why there's a verse from the Hebrew Bible on the Liberty Bell and not from the New Testament. They were very Hebrew Bible-oriented, the founders of the United States. That's why I call America the Judeo-Christian country. Jacoby, 13, Holiday, Florida. Holiday? There's a city named Holiday? Huh. How many miles is it from Fast Day? Hello, Dennis. Hi, Jacoby. For the past few months, I've been struggling with my mother's political views. She believes that America is evil, and whenever I try to talk to her about politics, she threatens to punish me and take away my belongings. How do I fix this issue without causing problems in my household? You have to be kidding. You already have household problems. That's adorable. How do you fix you already have? Well, it's hard for me to believe. I mean, I have to believe you because I don't know you or your situation. But whenever I try to talk to her about politics, she threatens to punish me and take away my belongings. If you say America's a good place, she takes your stuff away. Okay, it's hard for me to believe because that's pathologic. I mean, to be honest, that's really bizarre. I mean, is it possible that if that's your situation, it's pretty hopeless. And if that is your situation, it is, sorry for the dogs, in case you heard them. But it is my home, so home sounds happen. But if that is the truth, just don't talk to her about politics. And save up money so that you can move out as soon as possible and live in your own apartment. But I'm a big one on honoring parents, even if they're jerks, because it says honor your father and mother, and it doesn't have an asterisk, only if they're nice. So why bother arguing if the reactions are so severe? Just, say, Mom, let's just love each other up and, go on with life. Anyway, if your mother really thinks America's evil, she has troubles. She's a very sad person. That I could say categorically. I mean, you could differ with America on policy A or policy B or policy C, but evil? Okay. Woe unto those who call good evil and evil good. From our favorite book, the Bible. Marlene, 26, Nice, France. Hey, Marlene, comment ça va? Je me débrouille en français, mais maintenant, on doit parler en anglais. Out of the countries you have not been to, which is the one you would like to visit the most? I'm never asked that. It is so rare to get a first. I'm always asked, what would I like to go back to again, or what would I recommend to somebody? Because I've been to 130 countries. It's a lot. It's a lot of travel. That's a good one. I think, and this is off the top of my head. Well, let's see, two that come to mind immediately. Mongolia. I just have a fascination with Mongolian culture, and I'd love to see the Gobi Desert. And the other is Rwanda. I've been to 20 African countries, but not in Central Africa. I've been to North, South, West, and East. And Rwanda has that phenomenal refuge for gorillas, which must be something incredible to see. Anyway, Rwanda and Mongolia. So I'll probably take, those famous Rwanda-Mongolia flights. Sure, make it easy on me. Thank you, Marlene. That's a great question. I got to think about it. Donnie, 70, Ashland, Kentucky. What is the root cause, the basic reasons that the Palestinians do not want Israel to exist? ISLAM. That's the root cause. Because the traditional Muslim belief is that if a place has been under Muslim control, it can never revert to any other religious control. That's it. That's the root cause. So it doesn't matter. For most Palestinians, if Israel were as big as Brooklyn, they would still want it destroyed. There's no room for a non-Muslim sovereign state in the Middle East in most Palestinians' views. And it's sad, but it's the truth. Watch my PragerU video on the roots of the Middle East problem. By the way, if it changes, there'll be peace in a week. The day Palestinians say we recognize the right of a Jewish state to exist in the Middle East, there'll be peace in a week. Kevin, 63, Nashville, Tennessee. We still live in a country where 3 individuals have more net worth than half the population. Bezos, Gates, and Buffett. Is that true? Those 3 have more net worth than half the population? All right, I'll take your word for it. One of Marx's criticisms of capitalism was the existence of extravagant wealth and extreme poverty in the same system. That gap is rapidly expanding today. My question is, how do we fix the shrinking middle class? Okay, we don't have extreme poverty in the United States. It is exceedingly rare. People living under you should look up the statistics for people living under the poverty line. How much, quote unquote, wealth they actually do have. I'm not claiming they're wealthy, but they live like the middle class lived a generation ago. Most have cars, most have an apartment, many have a home, people have air conditioning, people have, of course, smartphones, they have meals, they have medical care. Poverty is a relative term. The American poor are not abject poverty. So, does it bother me that Bezos, Gates, and Buffett have so much money? Well, it bothers me in this regard, because it gives them so much power that I don't want them to have. Because they're not going to use it for the values that I care about. The extreme wealthy in America overwhelmingly tilt left. So I'm not happy from that perspective. But let us say Bezos, Gates, and Buffett gave almost all of their money to medical research. I would be thrilled they were rich. I care what they do with their money. I don't care that they have so much money. Their having money does not mean I don't have it. Wealth is not a pie. A pie is you take a slice away, so there's a slice gone. That's not with wealth. It's not like that. The existence of such wealthy people is not the cause of people who have less money. That's what needs to be understood. If they used, but you would agree, I mean, if they spent their money, if they took their hundreds of billions of dollars and they gave it over to cancer research and blindness research and Alzheimer's research, we'd be thrilled they had all that money. That's the issue to me. What do they do with it? Not whether they have it. Eden 19, Ma'aleh Adumim, Israel. It is currently the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. That is correct. Chag Sameach. If you could invite any 3 people, living or dead, to eat in your sukkah, that's the booth that Jews construct for the holiday, the 7-day holiday of tabernacles. It's a tabernacle, a booth. Who would it be and why? Well, whether or not there's a sukkah, what 3 people, living or dead, would I invite to have a meal with? I'm asked that a lot, and I always disappoint people because I don't have a ready answer. I don't have a great answer. I would like to have a meal again with my parents, which is hardly what you anticipated. You're probably wanting me to say some, well-known people who are lived today. I don't feel that I'm missing out on whom I could have dinner with who's living. I've been very blessed to pretty much have dinner with people that I've really wanted to have dinner with. My favorite people to have dinner with are my close friends. I never, even as a kid, I never valued fame. Celebrityhood never meant a thing to me, even as a child. So, dead, let me think. Would I like to have a meal with Moses? I mean, of course it sounds intriguing, but I don't have anything to ask him. I know exactly what Moses thinks thanks to the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. It's called the 5 books of Moses. What am I going to ask him? What was it like to split the sea? Did it feel good? Really, I mean, when you think about it, I don't know. Another name that comes to my mind, which probably won't excite you, or most any of you listening or watching, is the composer Franz Joseph Haydn, Haydn. I love the guy. I conduct his symphonies periodically with orchestras. And I think I would just want dinner with him to thank him because of the staggering number of hours of sheer joy that he has given me, as have Bach and Beethoven and Schubert and others. So I don't have a great answer for you. All right, I think we're doing good, right? I think that's great. Listen, it's a joy to be with you. I get really wonderful feedback with these fireside chats. It's completely unscripted. It's just me to you. If you really want to know my outlook on life, The Rational Bible and Still the Best Hope will give it to you. Those 2 of my books. I know it sounds self-promoting, so I'm very self-conscious about it. But if you're watching, I assume you're somewhat curious about how I think. Anyway, until next week, I'm Dennis Prager, and from my home to yours, thank you for being with me.